Dave, we have a varied history, I'd say, with the DC universe. We've given some not so good reviews of DC movies and products, and some very I'd say positive reviews. Aquaman, other than some I think graphic design and effects work, we
Yeah,
were pretty high on.
somehow looked worse on land than underwater. Still don't understand why that was.
Figure that. But I would say DC has been trending up. We also, I think, the movie with Zach, what's his name, did pretty well. Now, it's not great that I'm forgetting, but
Who?
adjacent to Black Adam.
Oh, Zachary Levi, Shazam.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I like Shazam a lot. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a good
Shazam,
one.
good movie. I can't remember the name, but we both enjoyed it a lot.
Birds of Prey, just this past February. Didn't do well at the box office, but I like that one quite a bit.
Yeah, there's been some things to like recently. So DC
Joker, of
fandom.
course, a lot of talk
Oh,
last year. Lest we forget.
yeah. Anyways, moving on to the new stuff though. DC fandom this past weekend, a lot of new content coming out of that, and we have to start with Batman because we are our Pattinson stands. We've been looking forward to the Batman, the Matt Reeves Batman, because this cast is insane. And we got our first look. What did you think of the trailer?
Looked good, dude.
Yeah.
It looked good. Looked intense. It looked like a lot of what they've been telling us about. Matthew Reeves, to his credit, has been very consistent in his messaging and even dedication to getting this movie made. He was attached to the movie for several years. And then hearing his comments about his affinity for the comic mythos, Batman, and stuff like that. And then you see that translated to this trailer, which again, as we know, that this movie is far from being completed. It's just going back to production next month. So despite only filming, I think a few months, still cut a really solid trailer. And I think the key thing is that kind of like down to earth. You really get the sense that like year two vibe that we associate with early Batman, right after he becomes Batman, the comics, seems to be coming across. And that's exciting, and whether it's as truly noir detective as they're saying remains to be seen. But even if we get just, bits and pieces of that sounds really cool.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually just thought, the whole vibe of the trailer, kind of like you talked about, was great. It was dark. It really gives like a harrowing feeling of Gotham, which I know people have had varying likes or dislikes on some of the past takes on Gotham, and Batman being played too cartoony. More recently, we've had the grittier Batman. Affleck's Batman was very gritty and dark, and obviously the Nolan Batmans were very gritty and dark as well. And this seems to be more in that vein. One thing that really stood out to me is we see a scene where Batman is being kind of taunted by this group of hoodlums, and then he kind of puts the beat down on one of them. The fighting in that reminded me a lot of the Arkham games, like the style,
Yes.
how it was
of
kind
course.
of like the doof, 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 and then like almost like you're pressing like XBA like as you're going through it. It was definitely, I thought, very cool. And then we get the I am vengeance from Pattinson, and I was just like, all right, I'm in. I'm 100% in on this. Just I just want it to be dropped tomorrow. Although I don't know if I could even see it in a movie theater if I wanted to.
That's true. Yeah, you don't want that.
yeah. Well, give me a couple months. Let's hope. But that wasn't the only Batman news we've gotten from DC fandom, Dave, because we have Ben Affleck returning in the Flash. What do you think of this?
Yeah, when we knew they got Michael Keaton, which was reported a few months ago, it started, coming up, right? It's like, the Flashpoint, flash forward kind of storyline that's we've known is going to be the subject of the Ezra Miller Flash movie that's been in development hell for a while. They seem to really finally moving forward with that movie after multiple directors and scripts and stuff, and tying it all together with past iterations and really doubling down on that multiverse. Not something we've really seen in any of the mainstream superhero movies to this point, with a brief exception of Into the Spider-Verse, so I think that's really, really cool idea. And I think, we remember people have been clamoring for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Mans to come back in a similar capacity. So Affleck's return, I was completely shut off to the idea just because I figured he had really put this, behind him and kind of talked about getting out of the dark place and the press for the way back, and how he was
Mhm.
not doing well following these movies. And then again, he was in full support of the Snyder cut when that
Yes.
full thing came through. So the door was opened once again, and he's back, and that's gonna be something. That's pretty cool.
And I wonder how much, and there was some more news on the Snyder Cut, but nothing I think that's super noteworthy. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but I wonder how much of the return of the Snyder Cut um, actually has impacted how much these other people want to be involved. There was kind of rumors, is Cavill going to be returning as Superman? But it's
Right.
been reported that he's back in. Ben Affleck kind of returning. So it seems like maybe the Snyder Cut is almost bringing that vision that all these people originally signed on board for, that they obviously believed in, and maybe that's why you see Affleck more willing to. I agree. I think we both kind of thought this. There's no way we're ever going to see him as Batman again. But I'm excited because he plays a different Batman. I agree. The multiverse thing is pretty cool. It's kind of funny. We're getting like young Batman and Pattinson, middle aged
Mm,
Batman, and then old Batman and Keaton eventually. So.
right. And there's also been some kind of conflicting info about if the Pattinson Reeves Batman is like a Joker entry where it's not connected to anything else.
Mhm.
And whether that's the case or not, I think that just kind of speaks to what's cool about DC is that they're kind of more fast and loose with everything, and that allows these varying tones and even to a certain extent directorial styles that actually shine through versus the more homogenized feel that we get with the MCU.
Mhm.
So that yeah, I actually really don't mind either way, but it's cool. They're really just kind of down for anything if the idea is good. And
Yeah.
we've heard that the Reeves script is well liked this whole time. So yeah, a lot of exciting news. Black Adam, he didn't get a whole lot of, really didn't see anything, but Justice Society of America's going to be in the movie, so that means you get Hawkman and Doctor
Mhm.
Fate, and we know Noah Centineo has been cast in that movie. That we knew it wouldn't take long for him to get into some IP, a big IP, and here it is. So that's cool. I'm definitely down with that because The Rock seems to be all in with Black Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I was also excited to see James Gunn on the set of Suicide Squad,
Right.
because they're obviously building out the Suicide Squad. Idris Elba's hopping on board, as well as a couple other notable names. Um, and Gunn has been a director who has been able to bring tone in terms of a lighter tone, but also while making a really solid superhero movie. You think back to the Guardian movies. So he seems like a perfect fit for this type of movie. And everything we're hearing from set, and obviously they're not going to be releasing if there are issues that people saying screw Gunn, but like
Yeah.
everything that people are saying in the interview seems to be positive, and I'm really hopeful that this Suicide Squad follow-up, or whatever it is, reboot, however they're kind of framing it, can actually come across a lot better than the first one. How are you feeling after seeing like the behind the scenes sneak peek of that?
Yeah, I have an open mind, and I think just Gunn just seems to be a upgrade over David Ayer, who
Yeah.
David Ayer's not long since lost his way. He's kept up his bad streak recently with The Tax Collector, which is out now. So Gunn, like him or hate him, and obviously was in a bit of some controversy relatively recently, but he definitely has his own style, and again, DC is not going to rein that in. So it should stand out in some way, whether it's good or bad.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. Overall, a lot of fun stuff coming out of the DC fandom, and I think what I really like, and to go back to a point you said before, is that they aren't following the Marvel playbook. They're not trying to make these stories all interconnected, at least not yet, from what we can see. And I think that that's great. You always have different arcs in superhero comic books, different
Mm.
illustration styles. So stick with that. Be making all different types of movies for all different types of people within each universe. You don't necessarily need to have one centralized story propelling them all forward. So definitely cool to see. It feels like DC's kind of starting to feel more comfortable in their own sphere too. That the criticism has started to die down and shift a bit. So very cool.